Over the Christmas break, I've been playing the Bottom at Christmas Challenge on Football Manager 2024. You simply simulate through the season until Christmas Day and take over the club sitting bottom of the league. Now for me, that was Sheffield United, and 18 games into the season, they're just a single victory and 6 points in total, and we're sitting 10 points clear of safety. Lots of work to be done, and the games will be coming thick and fast. I took over on Christmas Day, obviously, and I had one day to prepare for my first game in charge. First things first, my new assistant suggested the 4-2-4 gegenpress tactic, so I installed it and took a look at the financial situation. With the January window coming up, we had just over 20 million to spend, but we were already well over our wage budget, which might make things tough to bring in new bodies. Now a quick look over the squad, and it looks very heavy in the good centre-back department, but rather light in the good striker, and in particular the good goalkeeper departments. Now, let's change this formation to a 5-4-1 and see if we can use some of those good centre-backs to shore things up and bring in someone to score some goals, and hopefully we can survive in the Premier League this season. A quick look at our scouting centre showed a couple of prospects, but we had some games to get through first before we could properly look at who to bring in January. Boxing Day took us to Goodison Park, and Everton were not in the mood to gift us easy points. It took 11 minutes for the Toffees to get us unstuck, and I'm sure there's a pun in there somewhere, with Calvert-Lewin opening the scoring. The second half was much more of the same, and McNeil put us out of our misery with the second goal. It was a great start. 3 days later, we hosted Manchester City, and predictably things didn't go very well there either. We held out for 20 minutes, but Fotheringham gifted Alvarez with the ball, and he easily broke the deadlock with a big blunder on our behalf. Things were a little dull throughout most of the match, with Man City finally breaking us down again late in the second half. Akanji bundling home from a corner before Alvarez grabbed his second and Man City's third, and we ended the year in style. Now, January started with further defeats. In fact, we didn't score a goal for the first 3 games of the month, but the transfers did start to come in. We signed Taiwo Awoniyi from Forest for £12.5 million to bolster our forward ranks. Hopefully he can add a little bit of a threat going forward. And with our tactic now having 2 shadow strikers, cheap plug, subscribe now, we added Joe Aribo from Southampton for £7.75 million. And then one area that we really needed to fill was filled towards the end of the month when we brought in Belgian goalkeeper Koen Casteels for just £4.8 million from Wolfsburg. A definite improvement over the keepers we already had in our stable. After 3 1-0 defeats, we hosted Aston Villa at Bramall Lane with all of our new signings in place. But 2 minutes in, a goal-mouth scramble led to Chambers smashing in this lovely volley to put the away side ahead. We managed to get back into the game thanks to applying a minimal amount of pressure to Lenglet, who passed the ball past his own goalkeeper, and we were level in hilarious fashion. Villa then punished us for thinking we stood any chance, with Diaby making it 2-1, and then another set piece saw the third goal go in before half-time. Now, disappointment would be an understatement. We did the unthinkable, though, against Forest as we moved into February, as Basham took a cheeky long-range strike late in the game to score the only goal and take us our first victory since Christmas. Now, a week later, Brighton took the lead early on at Bramall Lane, but we showed great resolve, and our new striker turned provider in the second half, finding Norwood in space to smash home the equaliser. That was 4 points in 2 games. In our next outing away at Wolves, an early free kick from Hamer gave us the lead, but the wheels quickly fell off, with Wolves going in on a bit of a rampage before half-time, and they were 3-1 ahead at the break. The second half needed a fight back of monumental proportions, but we could only manage 1 goal, with McAtee threading Aribo through to get his first goal for the club. But it wasn't enough on the day, losing 3-2 in the end. We ended February on 11 points and we're now 13 back from safety. On the bright side, 5 points from 9 games is better than 6 from 18, but this was still not going to be good enough. We needed to hang on to the pack over the coming games, as our final 8 games were really where we could win some major points, and we managed a point against Arsenal at the end of the month and needed to do similar things against the big sides in the next 3 games, otherwise we could be down before we knew it. Now, a penalty gave us the lead against Chelsea, but we couldn't hold on to all 3 points as they scrambled home an equaliser in the second half. A single point would have to be enough. Our final game in March was the first one that was really winnable, and we finally had a chance to show that our new signings had improved the side. Ahmed Hodzic bundled home the first goal of the game against Crystal Palace, but we didn't stop there. Aribo and McAtee worked brilliantly together once again, with the latter getting goal number 2. Another new signing got our third goal as Awoniyi put the game beyond doubt, and a late Palace consolation was nothing really to worry about. Tough run was over. We got 4 points from March, which wasn't great, but probably the best we could have asked for. We still have a shot at survival, just about. We were 10 points back from Forest in 17th with just 7 games left. Maybe the aim should be to not finish bottom though, as survival is looking very tough. Speaking of tough, Bournemouth were a tough opposition, but we took the lead in the second half thanks to a cracking effort from Ahmed Hodzic, but we could only hold on to the lead for 2 minutes as Solanke equalised almost immediately. A point was okay, but we needed more in the coming games. McAtee and Awoniyi linked up nicely inside the first 2 minutes at home to West Ham and gave us the lead, which we then doubled thanks to another cracking long-range effort from Ahmed Hodzic. West Ham battled their way back into the game before half-time, with Iheanacho and Bowen levelling things up. The second half, however, finally saw the two teams separated by a scramble in the box, with once again Ahmed Hodzic getting his second and giving us 3 great points. Now their gap to Palace was now 11 points. They still had a game in hand though, and we were just 3 behind Luton and 7 behind Burnley. Of the teams in the relegation battle, we had a pretty straightforward running. We had to face both Luton and Burnley, so it was still in our hands, although that Spurs fixture looks like it might be a banana peel. Looking at the running Forest have, they could struggle to get another point, so this rescue job could still be on with the slimmest of slimmest chances. We took a comfortable 1-0 victory over Burnley in the next fixture, with Ryan Brewster popping up to grab the game's only goal, but Forest got 3 points at Wolves, so we were 12 points behind Everton, Palace and Forest, with a maximum of 12 left on the table. We were all but relegated at this point, as our goal difference meant that Palace and Everton were effectively safe, only Forest were just within our reach. McAtee smashed us into the lead at home to Brentford in just 40 seconds, but the away side equalised before half-time. We went down to 10 men as Hamer lost his head and tried to commit homicide from behind, but thankfully Ahmed Hodzic popped up once again in the last 10 minutes and smashed in another volley from outside the box, and we grabbed the 3 points. Checking around the grounds, Everton, Palace and Forest all lost, so our survival chances, albeit very slim, were just about there still. 13 points from April gave me the Manager of the Month award, and that's very nice, but it's not the focus. We needed to keep winning to stay in the Premier League. Awoniyi proved his worth as he peeled away at the back post and headed home the only goal of the game against Luton, and we were up to 18th and just 6 points behind Forest with 2 games left. The game against Spurs was definitely the toughest of our run-in, but gave us the most surprising result. McAtee scored a volley in the first half to give us the lead, and then in the second half he turned provider to slot in Aribo for the second. A penalty late on gave us a shocking 3-0 win, and we were just 1 game left and only had a 3-point deficit to Forest, and our goal difference was now better. We can still do this. Now on the final day, Forest conceded 2 goals in the first 20 minutes away at Old Trafford, so we just needed to beat Everton and we would survive. Things were in our hands, and just before half-time a long ball over the top gave Aribo the chance to put us ahead, and our January signing did just that. Forest couldn't fight back and ended up losing 5-0 against Manchester United, and the second half saw more of the same for us, as Aribo and Ahmed Hodzic linked up to put McAtee through, and we were 2-0 up and the game was put all beyond doubt, as Ahmed Hodzic once again scored a cracking goal from range, and we had done the unthinkable. Sheffield United have avoided relegation on the final day. We've come from 12 points behind with 4 games to go and survived on goal difference. Casteels was a key signing, keeping things secure at the back, as was Aribo, with our new formation unlocking something unbelievable in Ahmed Hodzic with his long-range goals to be our joint top goal scorer with McAtee across the season, grabbing 6 apiece. Sheffield United were bottom at Christmas, but we managed to survive relegation by goal difference after an incredible run to finish the season. Please subscribe for more.